Rabbi said there's a gewaltige Zoya Kodesh. The Zoya Kodesh in Shemois tells us, or Moshe Wolfson Zatzal brings the gewaltige Zoya Kodesh that explains to us Azoy. We know that there are 12 months during the year, and the Zoya Kodesh teaches us that these 12 months during the year are actually divided into two sets of six. There's 6 months and 6 months. As I state in Zoya Kodesh, what's the pshat? So he writes that you've got the 6 winter months from Tishrei to Adar, and you've got the 6 summer months from Nisan all the way until Elul. Now listen to this, Rabbi Isai. Again, I'm pushing reading you to the Zoya Kodesh. The first 3 months of each of the sets of 6, for example, Tishrei, Cheshvan, and Kislev, and then again Nisan, Iyar, and Sivan, were given to Yaakov. They were given to Yaakov. The last 3, which are Teves, Shvat, Adar, and also Tammuz, Av, Elul, were given to Esav. As I state, they were given to Esav. However, Yaakov, as we know, famously held on to the heel of Esav. And therefore Yaakov tries to chap, he tries to grab whatever he can. So Yaakov managed to chap, he snatched Elul. And he made Elul into a zman, into a month of tshuva. Along with Elul came the second half of Av also. And Mordechai Tzaddik took Adar with the second half of Shvat. However, says the Zoya Kodesh, Teves, Tammuz, and the beginning of Av remain very firmly in the grip of Esav. So we are holding right now, Rabbi Isai, at a different time. Because during the months that Yaakov Avinu has, the gates are much easier to go through, they're much more open. We have Yomim Tovim during those months. We have Simchas. We have reasons to rejoice. Much easier to get closer to the Rabbeinu Shalom when a person is in a Zman of Simcha. However, the opposite is true when it's the months of Esav. We're holding now during the months of Esav. And the Rambam says very clearly that in hard times of Klal Yisrael, of which happened during these months, and specifically now in these times of the year, is a zman and a warning for tshuva, says the Rambam. Chazal were masakin a fast day to fast as a way of a springboard to do tshuva. In other words, the fast is not necessarily for the fast, but really it's a way to get a person into the mode of doing tshuva. Rabbi Isai, today is a very special day. Ches Teves, I would like to explain to you what is going on today, what is going on tomorrow, and what is going on Friday. The 3 days that we're holding right now. Today is Ches, tomorrow is Tes, Friday is Yud. What exactly is so special about Ches, Tes, Yud, Teves? So there is a Chazal in the Megillas Tainis. The Chazal in Megillas Tainis tells us there are 3 days of mourning during Teves. And those are today, tomorrow, and Friday. Ches Teves, Tes Teves, and Yud Teves. These are the 3 days of mourning during Teves. The Torah brings down, Rabbi Isai, that you're actually meant to fast today, tomorrow, and Friday. Ches, Tes, and Yud are days that are meant to be days of fasting. However, Klal Yisrael will not makabel at certain tkufas, all of them, and we only have a fast on Yud, on Asara b'Teves, which of course this year falls on a Friday, which we will be discussing Be'ez Hashem tomorrow, the halachic aspects of a fast on a Friday. But before that, let's understand, today is Be'etzim a fast day. Tomorrow is Be'etzim a fast day. Why? What happened? What is so sad? And maybe perhaps what can we accomplish on these days? So let's go through them one by one, Rabbi Isai. I just want to explain what's going on the days, and then tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll go through some of the halachas of what to do on Asara b'Teves that falls Shechaliyos Be'erev Shabbos Kodesh. Rabbi said, what happened today? What happened today? That today is a day of a fast day. It is a day that's considered to be a day that is a sad day. It's a day of mourning. Now, even though we don't fast, but perhaps we should reflect what happened today, so maybe we can get into what the Rambam says as a day of tshuva, a day of reflecting what happened, so perhaps we can get closer to Hashem because of those reasons. So like this, Rabbi said, what happened today? Today on Ches, on the 8th of Teves, the Torah was translated into Greek. The Megillas Taanis tells us that at the moment the Torah was translated into Greek, the world plunged into darkness for 3 days. And Chazal tell us again in Megillah Sofrim, Chazal tell us that this was basically equal to the Egel Hazov. Now we are all familiar with the terrible Aveira of the Egel Hazov. The Egel Hazov is one of the worst Aveiras Klal Yisrael did, that we are still paying for that Aveira ad Hayom Hazeh. Every Rosh Hashanah, every Yom Kippur, we're reminded. We talk about it, we try to get away from it. Egel Hazov, terrible, terrible Aveira. And yet Chazal tell us today, Ches, the 8th of Teves, when they translated the Torah into Greek, the world plunged into 3 days of darkness, and it was basically the same as the Aveira of the Egel Hazov. Why? What's so bad? No, they made an art scroll. What's so bad that they translated it into Greek? So the Gemara tells us in Megillah of Daf Testament Aleph, the Gemara tells us that it was a Greek king, Ptolemy, that he took 72 Gedolei Yisrael, 72 of the greatest Talmidei Chachamim, and he put them each in their own room, their own cell, their own chamber. And he said, I want every single one of you to translate the Torah. Now that was a very dangerous thing. In a general way, when you got two Jews, you have a bunch of opinions. Here you got 72 Gedolei Ador translating the Torah into their mahalach, into their method, and he wanted to prove that, look, you see, Torah has problems, Torah has chas v'shalom mistakes, because everyone's translating it differently. And a nace happened, an incredible nace, the Gemara tells us, that all of them translated it in exactly the same way. They knew what to censor, they knew how to be mafarish it. It was an unbelievable nace. 72 Gedolim, they translated it all in the same way. An unbelievable nace happened. However, why is it so chomo? What's the big deal? So they translated it into Greek. No. What's the big deal? We got Baruch Hashem on the shelves. We got English all over the place. Chazdei Hashem, it's a beautiful thing. So what's so bad that they translated the Torah into Greek, that the world plunged into darkness for 3 days, and we be'etzim have to fast today because of that? Why? So I'll give them just a couple of ideas. Number one, you have to understand that before they did that, if a goy wanted to learn Torah, what did he do? He had to go over to a Yid. He goes over to a Yid, explain me the Torah, I want to understand it. All of a sudden now, you translate it into Greek, anybody, any goy can go and understand and learn and, say whatever he wants to say. There's no Messiah. Once you lose the Messiah tradition that you've got, for example, you learn the Hagdama to the Chinuch, where he talks about the fact that 600,000 people stood by Har Sinai, receiving the Torah, and that was given to their children and their children, their children, their children, their children, their children a few more times until it got to us. That's a Messiah. And it's the same Torah, it's the same mitzvahs, it's beautiful. But if you lose that by translating into Greek, there's no more Messiah. Anyone can do whatever they want with the Torah, and that's a very dangerous thing. That's reason number one. Reason number two, the Aris Dvash brings, as he said, it set the stage for the destruction of the Churban Beis HaMikdash, which of course is on Yud. And then you have the Mordechai Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer writes in his droshes on Chodesh Teves, the Chassam Sofer says, a famous Yisoid, but he talks about it specifically, Legabe Ches Teves. Yavon, the Greeks, were all about the external, the physical structure of the human body, the physique, the strength, the muscles, the look. It was all about the physical beauty, the external appearances. They wanted to uproot Torah Shebal Peh. That was their Yesod. Now we know that Torah Shebal Peh is rooted, it's the panemius of the Torah Shebechsav. When you look at the Torah Shebechsav, that you're also looking at the Torah Shebal Peh, it's inside it. Rabbi Kiva, we know darshan from the tagging in the Torah. Little tag, little crown, little extra thing on the letters. He would be able to darshan. The moment you translate the Torah into a different language, you lose the panemius of the Torah. You lose the depth of the Torah, and you can no longer darshan from it. You lose the Torah Shebal Peh. That's why today is such a sad day. It's a terrible day. It was a terrible day for Klal Yisrael. It's a day that we're meant to fast. But again, we don't. But it definitely is a time of tshuva. Tomorrow, what happened tomorrow on Teves? What happened on tomorrow? So it's interesting. The Torah brings down, the Torah in Orach Chaim in Hilchos Tainis says that people used to fast on Teves, that's tomorrow. Why? Says the Torah, he brings a shita that we don't even know why. Can you imagine? You have people fasting and they had no idea why they were fasting. The Torah brings it down. Says we don't know why. It's this amazing thing. So, someone is say pshat, some rumors in the whatever, it's someone is say pshat, that Yoshi or Yashka was born on Teves. Unlike what the Goyim say, the 25th of December or different Mahalchim, he was born tomorrow. He was born on, according to some Shitas, he was born on Teves. Now we know that Yoshi was a Sonei Yisrael, Mevaza Talmidei Chachamim. He was a terrible, terrible person. And because of that, it has so much tumor into the world. Mimela, it's a bad day. It's a sad day. If you look, by the way, at the Slichas, for those of you that, I guess, say it, and even if you say it, if you're concentrating, the Slichas on Asara B'Teves clearly says that happens to be Tes is the Yotzeit of Ezra HaSofer. Ezra HaSofer, we know, one of the Gedolei Hadar. Those of you that are learning Daf Yomi, we just had Sanhedrin Daf Chof Aleph Omid Beis, where the Gemara tells us clearly that Ezra HaSofer could have brought down the Torah like Moshe Rabbeinu. As I state the Gemara, can you imagine? Like Moshe Rabbeinu, bringing down the Torah from our Sinai to Klal Yisrael, Ezra HaSofer could have done the same. It was the Yotzeit, Memela. The Gemara tells us in Baba Kama many things, many takonas that Ezra made to strengthen Shmiras HaMitzvahs for Klal Yisrael. So Memela, because it was his Yotzeit, and he did so much for Torah, it is a sad day in that case. Torah Shebal Peh, he was Machazik. Memela, it is a sad day. And of course, on the 10th, on Yud, on Asara B'Teves, the day that we actually fast, is the day that the siege began, and that ended, of course, in the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. So again, tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, I want to go through the halachas of what does it mean of a fast day, Shechal Yos Be'erev Shabbos. But just one more point, Rabbi said, for the Olam. There's a very, very famous shita the Torah brings down from the Avudram. And you have to know this, because I heard in the last few days, Seder, okay, it's only Asara B'Teves, you don't really have to fast, right? Seder. So by the way, it's a Friday, so I don't know how many people will actually realize that there's even a fast. Like you wake up, you run to your meal, you go to Kiddush, and you eat, okay. I don't know how many people are going to chap there's actually a fast day, but if you do, let me explain to you how Chomo Friday is. The Torah brings in Avudram, that he says, Rabbi said, listen to this, the Avudram, one of the Rishonim, that if Asara B'Teves, it's happening on Friday, if it would fall on Shabbos, you would fast on Shabbos, like Yom Kippur. Let's put things into perspective, right? If Tisha B'Av falls on Shabbos, we push it off to Sunday. Again, Tisha B'Av falls on Shabbos, we push it to Sunday. If Asara B'Teves would fall on Shabbos, just like Yom Kippur, we would fast on Shabbos. Now it happens to be that the Luach al Pi Hillel, not going through now, the calendar was set up in a way that will never happen. It never falls on a Shabbos. The way the calendar was set up, al Pi Hillel, it's a sugya that we're not going into now, how they made the Luach, whatever. But the point is that the Avudram is telling us that it's so chomo, that just like Yom Kippur, we would fast on Shabbos, if it fell on Shabbos. Why? Asara B'Teves, what's the big deal? So I want to tell the Olam a few pshatim. Number one, very simple. There's a pasuk in Divrei Yomim, like Yom Kippur, be'etzem hayom hazeh, which sounds like it needs to be done on that day. Okay, that's a simple pshat. You look at other fasts, it didn't actually happen on that day. Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, for example, was just the beginning. But the Maisa, they didn't have protection of the wall for the time before that already. Even Tisha B'Av, the Maisa, right? It was really, the destruction wasn't really on the 9th, it was only the beginning. You find that many of the fasts that day was the beginning, or was the end, it was the middle, it wasn't mamish there. Comes Asara B'Teves, they broke the wall. It happened on Asara B'Teves. So according to that, you have to fast on Asara B'Teves, irrelevant of when it comes out. But there's one more pshat, Rabbi say. And we'll end with this. One more pshat that we have to know. And perhaps think about this on Asara Teves. And perhaps think about this on Friday, when I know it's annoying not to eat, and you're thirsty, and you want a coffee. I get it. I get all those shilas. Yeah, I'm really, my throat's very dry. Can I break my fast? No, that's the point of a fast, is that it's meant to be uncomfortable. That's correct. Obviously, a choila has a terim, but come on, it's meant to be uncomfortable, okay? But Rabbi said, maybe think about the following idea on Asara Teves. There's a moedik Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says, and he explains what is the reason for this avudram, for this rishon that holds that if Asara Teves would fall on Shabbos, you would fast on Shabbos like Yom Kippur, unlike Tisha B'Av. Says the Heilige Chassam Sofer as follows. Says the Chassam Sofer, on Asara Teves, just on that day, on Asara Teves, the Beis Din Shel Mala are convening together. They're getting together to decide, is the Geula ending right now or not? Is this the end of the Geula? Is this the end of the Golus? Are we going to bring Mashiach? Is the Beis HaMikdash going to be here? This is the end of all of the Golus. This is it. When does that happen? When do the Beis Din come in? When do they decide that? On Asara Teves. Memele, if that's the case, now I understand why I have to fast on Asara Teves. That theoretically would fall on Shabbos. Because you have an opportunity on Asara Teves for davening that you don't have an opportunity every other year. You have an opportunity to daven when the Beis Din Shel Mala are getting together to decide, should we bring Mashiach, should we bring the third Beis HaMikdash, should we end this bitter, horrible Golus that Klal Yisrael are in, that the pain and the tsar that Klal Yisrael are in Eretz Yisrael and around the world is so difficult. On Asara Teves, it gets decided. And therefore, says the Chassam Sofer, that's why you have to fast on Shabbos, because you only have that opportunity. Now, Rabbi say, we're not going to be fasting on Shabbos, and it never falls out on Shabbos. We're fasting on Friday. But perhaps spend maybe 60 seconds, or maybe that's too much, 30 seconds. And just close your eyes and think about the tzoros that Klal Yisrael are in. Think about the difficult situations that people are in, the hostages that are still stuck, and Be'ez Hashem, they're going to come back well and healthy. Almost 100, maybe 100 hostages stuck somewhere in Gaza. Imagine their families, what they're going through. Think about families of soldiers that lost their loved ones, or maybe they're right now fighting, and therefore who knows if they're going to come back alive. Think about the people around the world that are going through tzoros, whether it's shalom bayis, whether it's parnasa, whether it's health, whether it's children, whatever it may be. Take 30 seconds of your Asara Teves this year and say, Rabbeinu Shalom, die. It's enough. Enough with the tzoros, enough with the terrible pain that Klal Yisrael are going through. We need Mashiach, we need the Geula, we need the Beis HaMikdash, we need the Gilui HaShechina. We need it desperately. And perhaps if every single one of us spend 30 seconds on Asara Teves, instead of thinking about how hungry we are, and what time they're going to start Mincha, and when they're going to finish Mincha, and when we're making Kiddush already, spend 30 seconds thinking about not yourself, but Klal Yisrael. And when you do that, Be'ez Hashem will be Zoicha, that Mashiach will taka be here, hopefully before Asara Teves. Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow we'll go through some of the halachas of Asara Teves that falls on Friday. Shkoyach.